The underwriting we get from businesses helps power our independence. Learn how your organization can join in at sponsorship.wnyc.org.
I'm Stephen Nesson, a transit reporter here at Gothamist and WNYC. It seems like every week there is breaking news about transit in the city that affects how we all get around, on subways, roads, and much more. Keep up with the latest by listening to On the Way, Thursdays on All Things Considered, and sign up for our weekly newsletter at wnyc.org/ontheway.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
On the next All of It, some conversations with the creatives behind the films nominated at this year's Independent Spirit Awards. We'll hear about the obsession-fueled psychological thriller Lurker, the small-town baseball comedy Ephus, and Peter Hujar's Day, which depicts a day in the life of a real-life Big Apple photographer in the 70s. I'm Allison Stewart. Join us for All of It, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
It's 6:51, and you're listening to Morning Edition on WNYC. Coming up this morning on the Brian Layer Show at 10, for President's Day, historian John Meacham puts today's political conflicts into historical context, going back to this country's founding. That conversation and more at 10 this morning right here on the Brian Layer Show on WNYC. It's a cold morning out there, 31 degrees in Soho with cloudy skies. A slim chance of snow this morning, becoming mostly sunny with a high near 39 on this Washington's birthday. Tonight, a slight chance of rain and snow overnight, low around 33. Alternate side parking suspended, but pay the parking meters.
Heating bills are going up this winter.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Yubico, makers of the YubiKey, securing business applications from phishing for organizations worldwide. YubiKey, powerful protection, instant access. More at yubico.com. And by The Economist, offering global reporting and analysis on politics, economics, and world affairs. More information at economist.com.
For Marketplace, I'm Nova Safo, in for David Brancaccio. We got some good news on the inflation front on Friday, cooled in January, according to the Consumer Price Index, which registered a 2.4% annual gain, lower than expected. But certain prices are still rising faster than the overall measure, including utilities. The National Energy Assistance Directors Association forecasts heating costs will average about $1,000 this winter, up significantly from last year. Marketplace's Samantha Fields has more.
It has been absolutely frigid in much of the country this winter, including in places that are not used to it.
We had freezing temperatures all the way into southern Florida this winter. Those types of conditions make a difference in people's bills and their ability to pay those bills.
Katrina Metzler at the National Energy and Utility Affordability Coalition says lots of low-income households struggle to afford heat every year. But this winter is worse, both because of the weather and because electricity and natural gas prices are higher.
I consider myself a middle-income household, and I've struggled this winter in Virginia with paying my utility bills. I've seen those same price increases that everyone has seen.
About 1 in 6 households is currently behind on their utility bills, says Mark Wolf at the National Energy Assistance Directors Association.
It's like everything is going wrong. You have higher prices, colder winter, and people need to buy more of an expensive product.
And when utility bills go up, he says people are just stuck.
With electricity, for example, you can't say, gee, I'll go down the street and buy a different brand of electricity. You can't shop around.
Like you can with groceries. And Wolf says the reality is this is not just a this winter problem.
The cost of natural gas has gone up. Lots of new data centers is putting pressure on the grid, and utilities have to upgrade the grid. They've delayed this for a number of years. We now have to catch up.
Put all that together, he says, and the cost of electricity and heat is likely to keep rising. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
Let's do the numbers. Well, Wall Street's closed today for President's Day or Washington's birthday, and many markets in Asia are closed ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday, which starts tomorrow. But Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gained 0.5% today. The FTSE in London is currently up 0.2% this hour. Global benchmark Brent crude is up 0.1%, near $68 a barrel. Reuters is reporting that the OPEC Plus group of oil-producing nations could increase output in April.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive. Building a career is possible at Progressive Insurance, now offering virtual and hybrid employment opportunities with pathways for advancement. Learn more about available positions at careers.progressive.com. And by GEP. With GEP Key Agentic AI and GEP Smart Software, GEP is at the forefront in agentic procurement orchestration and autonomous supply chains. And by Fidelity. A dedicated advisor can help create a comprehensive wealth plan. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Well, this tax filing season, the IRS is operating with fewer staff. It lost a quarter of its workforce last year. So is the agency ready to process all the returns headed its way? Marketplace's Sabri Benishore checked in with Vanessa Williamson, Senior Fellow at the Urban Brookings Tax Policy Center.
Not only are more than a quarter of the IRS staff gone, but also a lot of things in the tax code are changing. So is the IRS ready for all that?
I think there are a lot of reasons for concern. It also lost 3/4 of its senior leadership, and the government shut down for the longest shutdown in our history. All of these things are real problems on their own, plus a complicated new tax law.
Also a question of training. The IRS was slow to process new hires for the season, I understand. Why is that? And does that mean that the current set of employees might be undertrained?
It definitely means the current set of employees are undertrained. The IRS lost a lot of really key positions, internal positions that help manage things like hiring. The agency ended up hugely short-staffed and only managed to hire 2% of the positions it was supposed to hire for a few key positions. And now they are shifting people from all over the agency to frontline phone service to try and fill in the gaps. But it's problematic, to say the least.
For all of us filing taxes, what's it going to look like?
If you have a pretty simple tax situation, if you file virtually, and if you don't make a mistake, you're probably okay. But there are a couple of groups of people who should expect problems. First of all, if you're going to try and figure out how to get one of these shiny new objects in the tax code, things like no tax on tips or the overtime provision or the car loan provision, those are complicated. There isn't wonderful guidance about it. There's real legalese guidance. And so figuring out all that extra paperwork, if you want to try and call the IRS for help, you'll probably be on hold for quite a while.
Will the IRS be as able to catch people who are trying to get out of paying their taxes?
We have lost a huge amount of our enforcement staff. And one of the really serious aspects of that is we've lost a lot of the new folks who came in specifically to focus on the highest earners and high wealth people. And that's where most of the tax gap is. That's where most of the underreporting is. So, yeah, I think we're going to see revenue effects in the long term.
Any thoughts on how the IRS could make tax season run more smoothly in the future?
We're going to have to do a massive restaffing of this agency. We're going to have to refocus on bringing in highly trained people who can do tax enforcement, not just for regular people, but for people at the top. We'll need to reinvest in our technology. We lost a ton of IT people this year. And, this was just a huge setback for an agency that had actually been on an upswing for several years.
Vanessa Williamson, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Sabri Benishore with that interview. Over the weekend, Amazon-owned Ring ended a partnership with a police surveillance technology company called Flock Safety. That follows backlash over Ring's Super Bowl ad depicting a feature that can track a lost dog using doorbell cameras. Lots of people found the whole thing less heartwarming and more invasive. Ring did not mention the ad when announcing its decision. I'm Nova Savo with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.